to meet the candidate. My guest for this session is Nikki Lockwood.
Hi.
She's running for Spokane School Board, District 81, Director, Position 1.
Yeah.
Welcome, Nikki.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
No, this is just your get acquainted, introduce yourself conversation. So
Sure.
starting with
Yeah.
where did you grow up and go to school, your early years?
Yeah. Well, my parents came here as very young parents. My dad was 19, my mom was 17, expecting their second child. I was their first child. So we moved to Spokane. My dad got into a mentor program with Royce Gorseth, who was a local journalist.
I do remember that name.
Yeah, it really helped him. He went to community college, and anyway, so we lived downtown, or we lived in Spokane, kind of on the north side. And so I started out at St. Francis of Assisi.
Mm-hmm.
It's an old Catholic school that's not there anymore. But then we moved out to the valley. And my parents, they were young, they got divorced, and so my dad got remarried, and we moved out to the valley. I was so excited to have a split-level house with 2 bathrooms because at that point we were 4 kids in the family.
Mm-hmm.
And so I finished out my schooling in Central Valley School District, going to Opportunity and North Pines and University High School, so I'm a Titan. Yeah.
Here, and what kinds of non-school kind of activities attracted your attention? What really were you passionate about as a kid or in high school?
Well, I was a pretty late bloomer in a lot of ways. I had my mom and my stepmom, and I had an aunt that was really key in my upbringing.
Mm-hmm.
And so she loved dogs. She still loves dogs. She's that crazy dog lady, we all know one.
Yes, everybody has them.
Yeah, no, she's amazing. She's like a dog whisperer. And so she made sure I had a dog, and so I did dog training with her and went to dog shows with her. And she really helped me get out of my shy shell. So she was the one who was always rooting me on and pushing me to just do a little bit more. I think I was an anxious kid, not looking back. And so she really helped get me out there a little more and expose me to different things. My parents, with 4 kids, pretty working class. We didn't have a lot of extra money for me to try things. I mean, like every little girl, I wanted a pony, and that was just off, not an option. So I did all the kind of the after-school sports things, and so in high school, I think I was still just kind of connecting with my friends, and I did well in school. So I think academics, and I had a job.
Well, what was that job?
Yeah, I worked at the Great American Cookie Company. I don't know if you've lived in Spokane for a long time.
That, yes.
Yeah, and I loved that job. I thought it was a great job. My boss, it was a small business, and so the boss, it was a married couple, and the guy that owned it, he really imparted that customer service, training that I didn't know about, and it has served me well throughout the years.
Yeah, those first jobs are very formative to how you interact with the world.
And it was in the valley, so it was the university mall, and I just, it was fun to see friends there and just people in the community. So I loved that job. It was one of my favorite jobs. Yeah, I liked it.
Did you pursue some other training after high school?
I did, yeah. So I was the first person in my family to go to college. Not the first female, but the first person in my extended family. So my family moved away from a lot of the family in southern Idaho, and we're a Mexican-American family. So I went to, anyway, I just say that because I'm really proud that I was able to be that first person in my family.
Oh, that's something to be proud of.
Yeah. So I didn't really my family didn't really know how to support me in pursuing that, but somehow I wound up in the counselor's office and got signed up to be in the honors program at Eastern Washington University. So I went there, and it took me a couple years to figure out what I wanted to do, but I finally settled on nutrition and dietetics, and they had a program to become a registered dietitian there with University of Idaho. So for the last 2 years of my schooling, I went back and forth between Eastern Washington University because they had all the local facilities to teach dietetics. Like we spent time in the hospitals and in school kitchens and institutional kitchens, but University of Idaho really had more of the staff, the faculty to teach us. So
I didn't realize that they had some shared programs. That's kind of
interesting. It was called a consortium, which I didn't even know what that meant before that. So that was great. They don't have that program at Eastern anymore, so it's not an option And I think a lot of it has turned to master's programs, but served me well. I really appreciated the whole college experience. It was new for me as a first generation college person, but yeah, it was very valuable.
And that's, so when you say it's very valuable, that's what you've been working at for the...
Yeah, well, after that, and I did the 2 years that we did practicums, I worked at Deaconess Medical Center, and then I got hired there. So I thought I would move away to Seattle or something, but I tried to. But I got a job at Deaconess and ended up staying and getting married. I worked there for 9 years, almost 10 years. When my husband and I had our first child, I quit, and he did shift work, and it was just a little. So it was easier for me to stay home. He made enough money, I could stay home.
Well, yeah, shift work is hard to work around when you're trying to balance childcare too.
Yeah.
It becomes difficult. So you have kids that are going to school. Where are they going to school?
Yeah, I have 2 daughters, and one is just graduated from Lewis and Clark High School. She graduated with honors and, gosh, a few other things that I can't remember, but she did really well. Academically, she's, she did really well. And then my other daughter goes to the community school, so she's going into 11th grade this next year.
Okay.
Yeah, so she benefits from that smaller school. It's a project-based choice program in Spokane Public Schools. It's great. I love it.
Kids don't all learn the same way.
Kids do not all learn the same way, and I think a big school just would have been way too much for her. My kids are very different in some ways. They're both smart, beautiful children. Obviously you love all your kids. But my younger daughter has autism. And it has been a challenge, finding her sense of belonging in school at times. So she's been in twice as many schools as my other daughter. So I've had experience of school working really well and school just being some amazing teachers, but systemically not set up for her different kind of learning, her different kind of brain and different needs.
Yeah, that could be a whole long conversation.
That is
right
a long
there.
conversation. Yeah.
So one of the other questions I often ask is, so what prompted you to run for school board? Not everybody volunteers to sign up for public service. What motivated you?
Yeah. Well, it really started with. I always wanted my kids to do well in school, and my parents worked a lot and they couldn't really be part of the PTA and all that, but I knew I could. I was a stay-at-home mom, volunteered in the classroom, did the PTG leadership in the Montessori program, and I thought, I'm going to do all I can for my kids. And it really started to differentiate as my younger daughter got older, and it was just harder to meet her needs. That it wasn't paying off just to be that superstar volunteer.
Yeah.
So started working on some systemic issues.
Okay.
Trying to make change for special education, and eventually joined a group. And it's a little bit of a long story, but joined a group that is working on discipline reform because kids with disabilities, kids of color, are suspended more. And my daughter was suspended. So I'm like, if this is an area where we can get some change and improve things. So I've been doing that work for 3 years. Some good changes have happened, but the longer I do it, the more I realize the people in the leadership, they don't have those same experiences. They don't have those experiences as parents, or maybe. So I'm running for school board because I want there to be a voice for those kids that maybe aren't always represented on the school board. The kids that we do pretty well for are pretty well represented on the school board at this time.
Yeah, I know what you mean by that. You're kind of moving right into that last question, which is you get the last minute to make your pitch. What are the reasons that people should vote for Nikki Lockwood for school board director for District 81? Well,
great. I appreciate that. I think people should vote for me because I've been a hard worker. I've been an advocate. I've won an award as an advocate actually for disability rights for students, and I have worked on policy. I have relationships with district leadership. I'm ready to go. I've been at school board for the last 3 years a lot. Besides policy, I was thinking of all the board positions I've had, board governance, and equals up to like 12 years for the different boards that I've been on.
Okay.
So I have extensive board governance experience. So besides that, I have the lived experience. I'm a different candidate than what is usually on the school board. I have the lived experience as a woman of color. I have the family experience of a mother raising a child with autism, and that's not represented on the board. And then I have, I'm also currently now working as a community organizer. So I have the experience, the work experience of working with a lot of different people from kind of different areas of life, or different, walks of life, different socioeconomic statuses. So I'm used to working with a lot of different people. I understand sometimes people say things in a way that isn't comfortable for people to hear, but it's coming out of love, And so I really am able to put all that together, and we've made some positive change, and we've started positive change, and I want that to continue. So if we want more students represented on the school board, I think vote for me.
All right. Well, thank you, Nikki, and good luck. Have fun with your campaign.
Thank you. Appreciate it. This has been great.